This is a New England clock company, and I got it for $6. I seen it at the Goodwill. So I took it off, and I seen it. It was like they had these brass chains, and I seen it, and I was like, "Oh, this is a nice clock." I priced it on eBay and stuff, and they go anywhere from $150 to $400. And it has the original chimes. And what I found out was the gear, you can see the gear right there on the right, that chain was up inside off that gear, and it was jammed up in there somehow. So apparently what happened was somebody probably took this down and turned it upside down and got it off of the gear, off of the gear up there, because there's like little pins that fit in the chain and teeth that fit in the chain. And you pull down on this, because you get the tabs, you pull on these to wind it up. So I ended up getting it back over that gear the correct way, and I would tighten it up and put some weight on it. And the weights are $50 a piece, and they're 4 pounds each. So I took some gallon jugs with some water, and I tied them to those, and it worked fine. So I hooked it up, and then I'll get to the pendulum here in a minute. Let me show you what happens. I unlock it and unlock it. I'll show you when I pull on this. This is for the weight. See? And it stops. This one is for the winding of that. The other one is for the winding of the thing. Well, when I took it off, there's little screws that go up in there and hold that in place, and someone apparently tried to work on it and they couldn't work on it, and they barely put that screw back in because it wasn't in there at all. And then I noticed the first strike, it gets like a dead sound. So I took the little screw out of the back of the hammer, and all that did was slide down on that shaft, and I was like, well, that was a mistake. I thought it would adjust it in and out to get it away from that, because if you look at it, you could see it's not touching the rod. When it hits it, it bounces off and it gets a good chime. That third one is resting right up against the darn thing, and it ain't bouncing off of that. So I was like, let me leave it at that. So then I was like, why isn't the pendulum working? I made a makeshift pendulum, and I was looking at it, and it doesn't move very far at all. When you get some weight, when you get the weight on it, it'll go back and forth. And you can see in that little window, that little metal rod is on one side of the tooth, and then there's another one over on this side, and it's supposed to go back and forth. It's supposed to go back and forth into that tooth and advance one more toward the other side. I don't know how to adjust that. It will not go up high enough. It will not advance to the next tooth in that little cog window. So I was like, I don't know if those two little screws there at the top do something or not. I don't know. But for $6, I was like, I'm gonna hold on to it until I figure out something. Maybe I can I'll put the back on it and just hang it up somewhere until I figure it out. It's a nice old clock. I mean, it took me a couple hours to figure all this out, but I was like, maybe someday when I get it working, I'll hang it up in the living room, and then I'll buy some weights for it, the original weights. I was surprised that they were 4 pounds a piece. So there you go. It's an old clock I was farting around with. I like it. I'm always, looking for old clocks like these. Maybe I can work on them and fix them, but they're very rare to find in a Goodwill store, especially for $6. So I'll keep working on it, I guess, looking around, and maybe Google something on it. So I'll see you in the next one.